In the news this week, Youth Agenda, we reveal how many young candidates are running for a seat in WA Parliament for 2021.
Manufacturing on Boom Street, youth entrepreneur shakes up lighting.
Not NIMBYs, Fremantle Council still open to negotiate Hilton development with community values in mind.
And in a special analysis, we look at what's at stake for 2021.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Lowe and Sarah Smith.
Good evening and welcome to the first newscast for 2021. Young people are the future and many are stepping up this state election to try and steer the direction of Western Australia's future. With so many candidates under 35, will young people's interests finally take priority in government? We begin with Kit Sanders' exclusive report.
A new generation of politicians is entering the race for the 2021 state election, with the median age in WA being 36.6. It's time for young people to be represented in Parliament. Political expert Ian Cook says voices for older West Australians will continue to lead the agenda.
Older voices will tend to continue to dominate, but that they'll be the only voices if young people's voices aren't heard. And at the moment, we're not getting young people's voices, I think, as clearly into the political conversation as we need to do.
Tonight, we can reveal that the Liberals have put up 8 new candidates and Labor have put forward 7 new candidates under the age of 35 and 1 incumbent each, Zach Kirkup and Kyle McGinn respectively. One Nation has put forward Tyler Walsh as a candidate for the upper house, aged to just 22. And the Greens have put up 19 young candidates, the youngest of which, Xanth Turner, is gunning for the seat of Mandurah at the age of 18. Dr. Cook says that only young people can solve the issues they face.
But I was young in a time we had full unemployment. People just left home at 18 as a sort of standard thing. I was around when my future was bright. I wasn't facing climate change. I wasn't facing any of these problems. Stable employment was in my future. It's not in young people's future. Their reality is radically different. Only they understand their reality and only they can speak to it.
A youth presence is certainly important, but whether that will translate to better policies that put young people first remains to be seen. Kit Sanders, WAMN News.
Manufacturing often lags in WA's mining-driven economy, but one young entrepreneur wants to change all that.
Parley Ho was named one of WA's leading young business people in 2019 and is the general manager and founder of Unios, a company that designs and manufactures world-leading bespoke lighting right here in WA. We caught up with him to talk about his plans. Paley, thanks for your time today. It's a beautiful facility you've got here and some gorgeous lighting. Can you tell me a little bit about what your company does?
So Unios aims to really change the way that we really think about lighting, how it evokes emotion, how do we create visual comfort in terms of our environment. But we also design, engineer and manufacture quality architectural lighting products that are designed right here locally in Perth.
Perth's historically a mining boom town. Bringing manufacturing to Australia is something that a lot of companies have wanted to do. Are you going to turn Perth from a mining town to a lighting town?
I feel that manufacturing is something that we really envision here in locally in Perth, and we really see it flourishing here. And that's where we're really investing as an organisation and as Unios.
It's a beautiful facility you've got here. Just looking around, you've got a half-court basketball court, you've got ping pong and pool in your cafeteria. Can you tell me a little bit about the ethos that Unios brings to company culture?
Team is number one for us. They are the engine room and the driving force that makes us who we are. And essentially we spend a lot of investment in terms of the staff amenities because we work extremely hard during the hours, but we also need to have some time to wind down as well. And so whether it is a really tough day, whether we need to clear our heads, we can throw a few balls at the hoop, play a few games of pool and get back into the creative swing of things. So for us, we really are bunkering down on our ethos as team number one, profitability being number two.
Australian labour is expensive. If you want to be manufacturing here in WA, do you think that Australians are going to be willing to pay the extra dollars?
It's a really good question. For us, we've invested a lot in the efficiency and how we actually process it from an operational standpoint. So for us, it's embedding lean manufacturing and a lot of different workflow practices to really bring down what we can do and how we fabricate our products here locally in Australia to make sure that it is at the highest level in terms of efficiency to really bring those costs down. And for that means you're getting a better built product, Australian, local, designed and fabricated to your doorstep.
Hilton residents are up in arms over a proposal to redevelop their local shopping precinct that they say would increase traffic in their area and decrease their choice of groceries, all without consulting with the community. The proposal has been rejected by Fremantle Council, but the Mayor and residents say that the door could be opened again for negotiation.
After Fremantle Council unanimously rejected the latest plans to redevelop the Hilton Town Centre, key players say the proposal may still come back to the negotiation table if it reflects community values.
Our doors are always open. I mean, we would much rather have an outcome that, where actually it was negotiated. But that said, we're not going to negotiate away the core principles.
Despite grinding to a halt at Council, the proposal could be thrown a lifeline if it's approved by the Joint Development Assessment Panel. Residents say community consultation is key.
We'd be comfortable with the door being open to negotiations as long as we were let through the door and at the table.
Locals say their concerned plans would increase traffic more than projected.
The figures really don't add up. The amount of traffic is calculated on the basis of figures that were put up by Main Roads in 2014. Since then, the population of Hilton has grown by 10%.
We are really, really disturbed by the fact that a group of business people from who knows where can just come in and walk all over us.
Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
The WA Liberals are set to future-proof the state's commercial fishing industry with a multi-million-dollar investment if they win the March election. $38 million will be injected to diversify, expand and develop the sector, identifying new markets and grow existing ones, increase aquaculture in research and development. The party says there is hopes it will boost the long-term viability of the sector.
This absolutely responds to the fact that we know there is volatility and uncertainty in the world now, and we can't be overly reliant on one particular export market more than anything else. We need to make sure that we help support industry diversify as much as we can.
Additionally, opposition leader Zac Kirkup announced plans to reduce ambulance wait times after a record month of gridlock. He says 569 hours of patients gridlocked in an ambulance outside our state's hospital is absolutely unacceptable.
There are desperate pleas to urgently increase public housing for the homeless people in Fremantle's tent city, following concerns they could be there long term. It comes as Fremantle Mayor Brad Pettit wanted the 100 people moved on in 1 week. But the homeless people say the situation is dire, with no immediate housing available. They're worried they could be waiting years, but Mr Pettit says Fremantle Council can't solve the issue and will continue to raise it with the McGowan government.
The only way that you can dismantle a tent city is if you've got homes to put these people into, so be it beds or accommodation of some kind. So that's really, the state government are responsible for that, and we're working as closely with them as we can.
80 tents, 115 people, human beings sitting in the park here in Fremantle alone. We just discussed it's going to be another further 4 years before anything tangible for them to move into. So we need a timeline of events and how we're going to transition from today to 4 years.
6 children at Perth's Children's Hospital will have easier access to nature therapy through a new bridge connecting the hospital with Kings Park. The $6.3 million bridge has begun construction that will become the beacon of colour and a safe crossing point over Winthrop Avenue. Construction is expected to create 40 jobs with the hope the bridge will become an iconic structure.
Just a bridge, it's a link to an ancient culture. It's a link to nature itself. And it really is a link to a healthy future for the kids. They'll be able to get out of this hospital environment and walk across and smell the eucalypts and bump into duggites and have all that sort of fun.
Retired West Australian Police Commissioner Brian Bull passed away on the 14th of January 2021, aged 87. Mr Bull served 45 years in the West Australian Police Force, from 1949 to 1994. He was known for establishing the expertise for investigating white-collar crime in Western Australia, according to Commissioner Chris Dawson. Mr Dawson also said his thoughts were with Mr Bull's wife, son and family. Details of the funeral will be released in days to come.
Perth's annual Fringe Festival has kicked off for the year, bringing fun, art and culture to 102 venues across WA. Fringe World has kicked off its 10th year in style with more than 500 shows and activities to see and do. Everything from kids and comedy to cabaret and circus. Amber Hasler, the director of Fringe World Festival, shares tips on how to get the most out of your Fringe experience.
Try a new venue, try something you might not think you've experienced before. The beautiful thing about Fringe World shows is that you can take a bit of a risk. Most shows are about an hour, tickets are very affordable, around $25, $28, and you never know what you're going to see.
Perth hosts one of the biggest Fringe festivals in the world, ranking third largest in the world in 2015. For more information and ticketing, visit fringeworld.com.au.
And that's our weekly news and current affairs. For news at any time, go to our website at wamennews.com.au.
From Sarah and myself, we wish you good health and good night.
Take care.